Ready? Okay. Good morning, radio listeners. Good morning, those of you who's on the World Wide Web. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening in. And again, welcome to your program FYI, for your information, brought to you by the Syntestatious Tourism Development Foundation. I'm your host today, sitting in for your regular host, Ms. Tina Lopes, Charles Lindo, and we're going to have a wonderful program. But of course, today we're going to be talking about the up-and-coming conference and, of course, also the Taste of the Culture. Don't forget, folks, tonight is Taste of the Culture. And again, right there at the Microphone Putting Youth Center, the Lions Den. The time is from 6 to 9. And we're going to have a wonderful showing for you tonight. And of course, all the booths are occupied with all the cultures, the different cultures, and the good food. And remember, the fun thing about all this is $5 per dish. Nothing above that, and nothing should be above that. Anyway, again, today in the studio, we're going to talk about our up-and-coming conference. And today we have none other than our keynote speaker with us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, thank you for the very warm hospitality that I've been receiving since I've landed on this beautiful, beautiful island.
Fantastic. For those of you that don't know his name, please.
Brian McFarlane.
Brian McFarlane, one of the most sought-after individuals on Trinidad when it comes to festivals, culture, carnival. I think we're going to talk a good bit about that today. And,
yes.
And he has already met some people at the island that don't want him to leave.
I don't mind staying.
Which is a good thing. Which is a very good thing. But besides that, we also have in the studio with us today, straight ahead of me, I think his mic is not on.
It is on.
Okay. He don't like me to call him Mr. Johnson, but Mr. Johnson John Rose, please let the people know that you're also here with us.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be back home.
And also we have with us today again one of our own who is no stranger to stations, the radio, the people, and anywhere you go you hear his mouth, and he's always involved. So introduce yourself to the people, let them know that you're also in here.
Well, good morning, everyone, and it's Roy Hooker. You know me.
There you go. You see, I told you, you know me. That's the good thing about it. Welcome. All right.
Thank you for inviting me.
A pleasure, definitely a pleasure, and pleasure having each and every one of you here with us today as well. I will go right into the program. And as I said, we are going to talk about the Sustainability Conference, which is on Friday. And for those of you who haven't signed up as yet, please do sign up because you will be missing a great deal. And you will hear a lot about that today, and you'll be the judge. You'll be the judge after the program is ended when Mr. McFarlane already put all that information out there to you and give you that motivation and inspiration. Mr. McFarlane, I want to start off with something that I listened to a short video of yours a few days ago.
Right.
And I was amazed to hear the things that you have accomplished over the past few years. I mean, I saw your bio, which is
a book, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. And I was like,
that's
wow.
just some, huh?
That's
I didn't want to make it too long.
Thank God. Yeah, he said, I mean, folks, if you see this, I mean, and every point in there has some weight to it. So, and that would, again, for those of you who want to see that bio and want to get an idea what we are talking about, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to get that bio to you. But one of the things I saw and I heard, actually, when I was listening to the video, you said, let's just put it, in the opening of your video, you said, welcome to my world.
Yep.
What is your world? Welcome us to your world.
Well, we have how many hours here today? I guess I started that because it actually feels very much like my world when I'm getting into a theatrical production or an event that I'm doing, because my whole soul, my whole body is sort of immersed into what I'm doing. So everything else that's around me doesn't seem to exist anymore. I'm just into this whole sort of surrounding that feels very much my own, and that there's nothing else existing beyond what I'm actually doing at that moment.
Folks, he's in his world right now. He has his eyes closed. Folks, he has his eyes closed and he's in his world.
saying the same thing as well right now.
You have to forgive me because when I start, don't sit too close because my hands move a lot. But yes, I do get immersed into what I'm doing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And nothing else really matters on the outside. And I say that in a positive and good way. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And that impressed me yesterday when I met you.
Okay,
That
you noticed that as well.
So that you can draw pictures in the imagination and inspire you to do different things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roy.
I really admire that.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's talk a bit about, and thank you for bringing us into your world. Let's get back a bit. How did you even started off with this? I know Trinidad is well known for its carnival.
Right.
And in the video you also mentioned that you actually hold a record 7 times
Consecutive. Band of the year.
consecutive.
Yeah.
How did you get into this from young, or did it just
So I'll give you a little quick history.
please?
I am one of 5 children, and we grew up in a sort of a lower middle class area of Trinidad and Tobago. My father was the secretary of a cocoa estate, and my mother was a stay-home mom who took care of the 5 kids.
Yes.
And growing up for me was rather difficult because I was a very sickly child. As a young child, I used to get a very high fever once a month, and I would actually go delirious, and I was back and forth to doctors, and my
Okay.
parents were really struggling with that. So of course, that really set me back quite badly with schooling, and I was not academically inclined at all. So then I went on to college, and not passing the 11 plus in those days, or this, and I went on to the college, St. Anthony's College, which was at the time when it was opened and it was built, was mainly a college for kids who were kind of dropouts. I mean, it's changed now,
Okay.
but at that time, that's what it focused on, kids that
Okay.
had nowhere else to go in the system.
Okay.
And I felt I was getting nowhere really quick. So when I reached into Form 3, myself and a group of students went to the principal and asked, could we get an art teacher or somebody that does craft or design? Because we wanted to use our hands, we wanted to be creative, and there was nothing like that on the academic schedule. So they brought in a Spanish teacher that taught art, but you know, the 32 guys of the class, of each class, gave her so much horrors that she left within 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
So we were back at square one. And one day I just went into school and I said, you know what, this is making no sense. I'm in Form 3, I was about 15 years old. And I said, you know, I'm going to leave. Of course, I was ridiculed a lot and harassed a lot because I was really backward, having missed a week each month of school.
Okay.
So I left that evening, and I remember kind of just looking back and giving a wave to the college and saying, you know, you're not seeing me again. Now, I'm not saying this for anyone out there to leave school, please. It worked
No,
for
but
me.
it's
I'm not
good-
going to say it's going to work for you.
No, but that's good information to know where you come from and where you are today.
Yeah,
You see,
yeah.
so please
Yeah,
continue.
But I had a clear, distinct knowledge that I knew I would be successful in the field of art and design. I knew that.
Okay.
So I would walk home every day from school, and half-hour walks. I walked home, kind of contemplating what I would be doing tomorrow morning when I got up, because I knew it was in school. I loved gardening, and I still do have a beautiful garden at my home, and a lovely fish
that's
pond
nice.
and whatnot. And I had saved all of my pocket money while I was at college and bought a lawnmower and so I got home, and the next morning I told my mother I wasn't going back to school, and she was quite comfortable. And I think most mothers have that intuition of their children, what they will do. So she was quite comfortable. But I remember that night hearing my mother and my father in their room really having it out and quarreling, and my dad is saying, you've got to send him back to college. And But I got up the next morning, I went and I mowed the lawn and edged all the beds and cleaned up the whole garden, and then I said, Mom, I'm going down to a carnival band. I'm going to apply for a job. So I got into a taxi and I went to the Port of Spain, and it was just coming into the carnival season. And I went to a relatively new band. It was the second year out. It was Raul Garib's band. And I went in and offered my services. And in those days, you didn't get paid in a carnival band. You got 2 meals a day, and hopefully you got meat in one of the meals. And you just worked voluntary. And after about 2 weeks, the designer of the band and the owners of the band came and called me to a meeting inside the front room. So I went in and they said, you know, Brian, where did you learn? Because they would bring projects, and they'd bring some fabrics and some colors, and try to get it to look like the picture we painted here, and come up with some ideas. And I would kind of take control of each of the groups at 15 years old, and these are people who've been working there, before. And where did you get these ideas? How do you know to match these colors and these fabrics and whatnot? And I said, I don't know. It just feels very natural to me,
Yeah.
So they said,
Yeah.
look, we don't want you here. We're going to move you from here and we're taking you to the head camp where they do the kings and queens and all of the individual costumes, which in those days were mammoth-sized costumes. So I went and I worked there, and I remember the queen that year was Tiffany's treasure. And the designer had designed this beautiful sort of Tiffany lamp, but they were contemplating, how do we get this to reflect light and to shine under the light? And this is like, I would have said, the early 80s. So, without giving away my age.
Light in my head.
I see you looking, I see your eyes spinning. So I kind of came out and decided, why don't we get like sheet plastic, like tablecloth plastic, as lighter weight as we can, and cover each panel of painted fabric, which we did. And when it hit the stage and the lights came on, I mean, it was like glass, this huge Tiffany glass lamp.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I really had anything to do with it, but it was the first year to win Queen of Carnival.
Okay.
And then I stayed with them for 3 years, and after the first year, they made me a supervisor of the band. I got a free costume along with my 2 meals a day. And, and I kind of directed things, how the band would run and so forth. And while I was there, there was a gentleman who's now deceased, and he used to ice wedding cakes. So he would, on a night he would say 12 o'clock in the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, look, I'm going home, I have this wedding cake, or I have 2 wedding cakes to do for this weekend. Come and keep my company, come online. So I'd go by him, and he never taught me anything. I would see him mixing the ice and making the flowers, whatnot. And 6 weeks later, my younger sister said she's getting married. So I said, okay, great, I'm going to do your wedding cakes. And he said, what are you talking about? What do you know about, what do you know about cakes? I said, no, I don't know how to bake a cake, but I'm going to ice this cake. So I did it, and it was like about 7 tiers tall with a fountain in the center. She was getting married a week before Christmas, so it had to be red, white, and green.
Wow.
And it was at the Holiday Inn of the time. The reception, about 250 guests. And it was very strange, because I remember when everybody got to hear that I was doing this cake, and all the family and friends, and they wondered, well, what does he know about this? 50, well, at the time I would have been about 17, 18 years old. So they arrived at the wedding, and they kind of bypassed my sister, the bride, and the groom, and came around the cake, and everybody got around the cake and started to applaud. And I'd never seen this in a wedding before. But that really inspired me to move on. And it then got to a stage I was doing 6 to 8 wedding cakes on a weekend.
Wow.
And they weren't just wedding cakes. I would design horse and carriage 8 feet long, Japanese pagoda, a Roman love temple, all of these structures that I would kind of carve and start and paint with ice and create these masterpieces.
Yeah.
And then in 1983, I asked, it was the month of June, the month of weddings, and I asked all of the brides if I could borrow their wedding cakes back, because I wanted to do a display in one of our leading malls, West Mall, that had recently opened. So I got permission from management, and I put out all of the wedding cakes and did some stanchions around it so that nobody would go in and touch. But I did a elaborate decor, and I remember going to one of our wholesalers and buying Christmas lights that were going to the warehouse, because Christmas lights were packed away. And I bought more than enough strands to pull out all the lights and just leave the white bulbs in the strands. And there were some existing ficus trees in the mall, so I lit all the trees and I decorated the whole surroundings. And the next morning, people came out and they were just like blown away with the whole setting and the cakes. But there were also people kind of laughing at Christmas time. What do you do with lights and ficus trees in June of the year? And of course, that's a trend all over the world. That you see people putting lights and trees for weddings and whatnot. I'm not saying again that I started that, but the inspiration was there.
Yeah.
And that just kind of catapulted me to another level, where I started now getting orders not to just do cakes, but to do decors for the weddings. And then the mall management was so impressed with the display, they came immediately and said, would you consider tendering for the Christmas decor of the mall of the following year? They already had a tender for that year. So 1984, I tendered, and I won the tender, and some of the leading designers of Trinidad, one of them was Wayne Barkley, very well known and respected designer.
Okay.
So I won the tender of the mall, and I did the mall for some 15 years straight after that.
Wow.
And then I began doing the Gulf City Mall and the Aranguez Mall, and then Tobago Mall came along, and then I've done malls in Barbados, Martinique, Guadeloupe, shopping centers, car centers. And then things just kind of kept moving from one to the other, And then came along the Miss Universe competition in Trinidad. I think I might have been 1989, 87. Yeah, so I was asked to do the Coronation Ball, which I did. And they introduced for the first time ever in the Miss Universe competition a fashion show of fashion designers of the particular country, but worn by the delegates. So we did this. I did this actually. I did a tender and got that as well at Queen's Hall, and now that's continuing with the Miss Universe show. But again, very, very successful. I actually met Donald Trump on that night, personally.
Okay.
And 'cause he was, of course, in charge of it at the time.
Okay.
So all of that started happening, and then I started getting involved in doing Carnival Kings and Queens. People came and said, could you design a costume? And my record for Carnival Kings and Queens of that whole beginning era was either second, third, fourth. I had one or two firsts as well. And then I played with Peter Minchell for many years, and after 7 years I decided in 1995, I think it was, or 93, that I would do, 2003, I started thinking of doing my own band, and then it came to fruition in 2005. It was my first carnival band. And I set out to be a large band, and you had like the day or two before carnival to register if you were still large or not, or come down. And I was only a medium, but I was still judged in the category of large. And I won Band of the Year at one of the competitions, and in the national competition I came second.
Okay.
And then after that was history. From
Just kept going up.
2006, I was Band of the Year for 7 years straight.
Wow.
And then I ended in 2009, and I came up with a fun band in 2017.
Okay.
And then, actually I ended in 2013. 2013 I came up with a fun band in 2017. And in 2009, our country was hosting the Summit of the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
And our then Prime Minister Patrick Manning, called me to a meeting one day and told me that he would like very much if I would do the opening ceremony. And he basically said, you know, I have the authority through our constitution and whatnot that I can handpick the person that I think is best suited for the job. I've watched you do all of these events, because at that time I'm doing all of these corporate events and government events and whatnot. And he says, I think you're the person to make Trinidad and Tobago proud. And it was a great show. You would have seen some of that on,
Yes,
on the footage
yes,
that you have seen.
I saw that.
And he says, and if you impress me, I'm coming back to you, which was 6 months later, to do the opening of CHOGM, the Commonwealth Heads of State.
No pressure there at all.
So I went into that next meeting, and he says, Mr. McFarlane, I've called you back, as I said, if I was happy, and I was overwhelmed, and I was happy, but I'm hoping that you can now beat that. And I said very proudly, I said, well, Mr. Prime Minister, it's quite obvious you haven't been following my career, because if you have, you know I very well will. So I did that, and again, he was also very, very pleased. And after that happened, well, on the Summit of the Americas, I actually had the honor to meet Barack Obama while they were going for their photo shoot the following morning. And he was quite impressed with what I had done the night before. And then at CHOGM, at the end of CHOGM, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth actually asked to meet me personally.
I want to jump in real quick there.
Sure,
Don't forget
sure,
the direction
sure,
you're
sure,
going.
sure.
But you mentioned a few people. No, Donald Trump.
Wasn't
Barack
president yet.
Obama. Now Queen Elizabeth. So
yes. Yeah,
please keep going.
So they had a...
Let's see who else we'll hear.
For security reasons, everyone who was involved at the presentation of CHOGM had to stay on the cruise ships that were brought in on the port next to the hotel that it took place.
Okay.
So we were all on different cruise ships, and I was there with my entire team and the car, well, most of the cast, the key members of the cast. I wanted to say as well, too, for both the Summit of the Americas and the CHOGM, Summit of the Americas took place in the Hyatt Ballroom.
Oh, okay.
And it is a mammoth ballroom, but I had to create a stage in the round, because all of the heads of state, some 42 I think it might have been, were seated at one end away from the guests, and then there were 500 guests on the opposite side. So we brought in tiered ramps for theater seating, a massive red carpet lined aisle to enter, and you walked around the stage to go to the head seats on the other side. And the stage that I put in was actually motorized, and it was some 40 feet in diameter, but other levels of stage that went from either side of it. So there were things that happened that turned at different moments so that both audience could appreciate what was happening. Of course, incredible theatrical and set
this all
lighting.
came
From here. Well,
Wow.
from there first.
Well, the
and there
inspiration
second.
came from above.
Yes.
Wow.
And then you had many entrances to go in. And when I first spoke with the Prime Minister, he says, I'm thinking of something maybe about 2 hours long. And I said, please forgive me, Prime Minister, with all due respect, it cannot be more than 45 minutes. You want people to come in there. You want people to feel excitement from the beginning to the end, not to get tired on the seats. And you want when it's over that they say, God, I wish I could have seen more. Why was it so short? And when people say that, you know it's been perfect. You know it's been well done. And all of the shows I do never have an intermission. They're never longer than 45 minutes. And you give that action from the time you begin. And of course, you make it move like a wave. So it goes up, it brings you down a little bit, and you start to come down, and there's emotion in you, and then you just sweep it back up again. So the energy is come and go, you know. So the Summit of the Americas had 750 performers. So I treated it as I would of a carnival band. There was no time for costume changes. So what we took is the multi-story car park of some 5 floors. We created all the car park into dressing rooms. And of course you have the ramps for the cars to drive up to the different levels. So I had my managers move, I would call them sections of costumes. So you move and you keep lining up and you're coming through there was a bridge that took you over into the ballroom. So everything is just moving and everything is put onto a track. Now, I got a bit of flack for that at the beginning because people aren't aware how these things are done internationally, but people called after and went on some radio stations and said, oh, they weren't singing live or the music wasn't live. But that's how it's done at all the international shows. They're still singing, but they're singing over what has been put on a track. So everything is down to the second is moving. So you know if you hear a bow here, you know the hand moves at the same time without bow. So David Rudder comes in and he's singing, but it's over his track. Arrow is there with Hot, Hot, Hot. He's singing, it's all onto his track. So there were Caribbean stars as well and artists performing. And then when we got to Chogam, they had just opened the National Performing Arts, which is Napa in Port of Spain, a beautiful architecturally designed building right off of the Queen's Park Savannah. And this event or this show opened the facility. And it was an incredible facility because it's massive stages that are all motorized that move and slide. So you were able to slide a whole section in with an event happening. We slid a whole steel band playing as it's played while dancers are moving through them and levels are going up and levels are going down. I remember the Mighty Shadow came in with Dingole and I had like 120 ballet dancers all around him and the stage is moving while they're coming in. I mean, just totally incredible and very much of an international level production. And that had 960 performers in Shogun. So, yeah, so that's just a little bit of insight of how it all began. No background, no qualifications. I did send, when I was about 18 years old, I sent a few watercolor paintings that I did to Miami-Dade School of Design. And I would run to the mail every day checking to see if I got accepted where this envelope was in the mailbox. And one day this big brown envelope arrived and I opened it and I was accepted and totally elated, ran to my mother and said, Mom, look, I got accepted. And my mother started, I think she was always hoping I wouldn't have been accepted because they just knew they couldn't afford it. So she said, you know, I'm sorry, son, you know, your dad doesn't have this money. You can't go. There's no way we can send you to do this. But that never kept me back. I moved on my own mission, you know, so.
And now you have a university of your own. But anyone have any questions? I mean, anyone have anything to jump into? Johnson, you have anything that you would like to share? Please. Please do.
Studied the work of both Peter
Great.
Mitchell and Brian McFarlane for quite a while, which is why you remember when we were discussing this thing,
Yes.
Preston said, we're going to find Brian at any means necessary. I
Yes.
said, Charles, I know how to get him.
Yes, you did.
I know the person.
Yes,
I
you
know
did.
the person who's going to make him come.
Yes, yes.
And she did.
So we will
Yes,
do
you
that
did.
because it's really is amazing. We sit and we watch on telly what happens on the international stage.
Yes.
And we sometimes forget that we've got people right here in the Caribbean who are of the Caribbean,
Immense
who were born
talent.
and made in the Caribbean,
Indeed.
who
Indeed.
are as good as, and in many instances,
Better. Better than. Yeah.
And the word genius. I mean, everything you've just heard here can be described by one word.
Indeed.
Genius.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
So that's what I
Indeed.
think. That's what we've got. So that's what I'm happy that we've got here. That this complicated head of his.
His world.
Can come and then just simplify things and to just make it look so extraordinary.
Indeed.
So,
And
we're
Thank you for
pleased
those
with
words.
that,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Well, to bring us into your world, do you do theater? Anything theater, or you just do production? Not just because it's not just, but the decor part of theater.
Oh, no. Everything I spoke to you about there with the Summit of the Americas and Shogun and many more corporate launches, corporate events for very big international companies as well. It's all theater.
Yes.
It's all theatrics.
Yes.
It's setting the whole mood, creating this story, telling this story, creating the costumes, the sets that goes with it, the mood of lighting. So yes, I will hire professional lighting designers, professional sound systems and sound engineers, but I still have a voice.
You
in
know
each
what
of
you
them.
want,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
So you visualize everything and able to
Correct.
transfer that.
That's why
also.
my
Yes.
eyes are closed
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In the Caribbean, we are known for our beautiful, bright colors
Correct.
and festivals and so on. In Trinidad, I know that, there was someone international that was in Spain that did
Was
for
Peter.
the
That
Olympics.
was Peter.
Peter Mitchell,
Oh,
Yes.
okay, all right.
incredible
Okay.
designer.
So it
yeah.
tells us that in the Caribbean we have person of this international caliber. And speaking with you yesterday, and in that short, I think we sat down together
Half
speaking
hour.
for less than half an hour. I was really amazed when you saw the possibilities in Stacia. Would you mind just tipping some of the feelings that you got from Stacia? Not what you would do, but some of the feelings that
Well,
you...
tell us what you'll do too.
Well, first of all, I'll be honest and say that this morning when we got up and had breakfast, I was talking with my advisor, who's here as well from Trinidad, Wendell Constantine,
Welcome, Wendell.
who is a very incredible creative person in his own sphere and an absolutely amazing singer. He's in many of my
Oh,
productions,
yeah?
incredible
Hey.
voice. So he's actually in my production for this year for Christmas as well. So I was saying, Wendell, I don't know if I want to speak about what I'm going to speak about Friday morning because I want both opportunities to be sort of fresh. So I can touch on some things, but I'm not going to say too
no,
much.
I'm just
Okay.
touching your feelings,
Yeah.
and then you tell us what you
But I'll
would
give you,
do.
I will kind of put into the aspect of how I kind of see St. Eustacia kind of moving forward, maybe with its festivals, maybe culturally. I think anywhere that you go, you have to understand its people and its country and its environment and its culture. And if you don't understand that, well then you can't really move forward. I've never been the one to believe that another country can adopt someone else's culture or festivals. And there was a huge drive, and there still is in Trinidad, by certain individuals that keep talking about the business of carnival and exporting carnival. I have to be quite honest, I don't really believe in that. Our carnival is our carnival. Our carnival is a ritual. Our carnival was created out of time, out of struggles, out of different races and nationalities and different countries that came to our specific island, and through their own, fusion and struggles, we have evolved into the carnival we are. And someone else can't adopt that. What I see kind of happening as a world trend right now is the beads and bikinis, which is not, and I must be very clear because I may be speaking and you may have your viewers and listeners, join in with us right now and thinking, oh, he's the carnival we know everywhere else, which is the beads and feathers and
Yes,
bikinis.
yes, yeah.
That's absolutely not what I did. Each of my presentations spoke about us, Trinbagonians, as a people, whether politically, environmentally, or socially. Many persons may have got the punchline or understood the storyline, and many may not.
Yes, yes.
But every presentation was a deep story. And I'll touch on one or two. The first year I did my carnival band in 2005, Minchell, who I played with 7 years before, did not come out in 2004. And Minchell was always as genius as an incredible, and in latter years now, Minchell is just 78, I think. I actually took him to breakfast about 6 weeks ago. We are now building quite a nice relationship. We didn't always have a very good relationship. And I think Peter thought at one time that I was coming up and he saw what was happening and I was there to probably challenge what he was doing. And I guess everybody in this sphere has that. They feel a little bit threatened sometimes. But now that we are kind of both out of the carnival, that is joining and coming to be quite a nice relationship and friendship. But Peter was always very last minute, and sometimes 3 weeks before Carnival Band, you knew he was coming, but there was no designs up and there was no mask camp. So, as usual, we were waiting in 2004, and after 2 weeks and going into the end of 2 weeks, we realized, wait, there's definitely no band. And I immediately called the guy who did this production of costumes, Ronald Guy James, and I said, Ronald, we can't let this happen. Where are we going to all go? Where's Charlie's Roots band going to go? What are we going to do this year? Let's get together and let's get a t-shirt band and do something like We Love You Minch. So we crossed the Savannah stage, and Ronald came with the idea, let's put on mittens. One hand will have a glove with a big heart in it. So We Love You Minch, and we put up the hands with these hearts as we go across on the TV cameras. And I said, okay, I'm going to pay for Charlie's Roots. There was a little restaurant that closed down the Avenue, which is the hub of the Carnival mass camps on Peter Avenue in Woodbrook. So I said, I will rent this space. And he said, great. He said, but, we have to ask Minchell. So I said, well, I don't know him that well. I speak with him in the band. He would come up every year and congratulate me on my kings or queens that would have won in competitions. But I didn't have my band as yet. And Ronald went to ask him. So the next evening, Ronald calls me and I said, well, what happened? Everything's on a go. I already want to pay down for the mass camp. And he says, I spoke to Minchell. We can't do it. I said, why not? He said Minchell's words were, how dare McFarlane thinks he can take my band over. It will not happen. And basically that's how it was said. So that was the end of that. So I bought a costume for another band that year. And Carnival Monday, I went out and I played in the band. And those other bands, best word for them, the Beads and Bikini bands, wear a t-shirt advertising whoever sponsored the band on the Monday, and then Tuesday they put on their beads and bikinis, and the guys would have on a baggies or short pants, bareback, maybe a little bit of glitter on their face, and they call that a costume. So I did that on the Monday, and I got up the Tuesday morning at about 4:30 to get ready to go and meet the band for 6:30, because they leave really early as well. And I'm looking at this little kind of short pants I'm going to put on with a little bolero, and first of all, I didn't think I had the body that worked with that. So I said, I just didn't feel it. And I paid that year, I think I paid about $2,000 for the costume. And I never used it. I just didn't have the vibe, as the younger people would say. So I didn't go out, and I realized I lay on my sofa that year, 2004, and I watched the presentation. All of these thousands of people crossing the stage, band after band, and they all looked like one large band, because they all have the same feathers and beads or whatever. And I said, this is it. This is the year. There's a void. I don't know if Mitchell's coming back. It's my opportunity. I always wanted to do it. I knew I wanted to do it when I was 9 years old. Because my parents would always take us to Port of Spain at my grandparents' house in the center of the city. And in those days, there was not a route for the bands to take. The bands roamed Port of Spain freely. You're in a band, you're going down a street. If there's a band up that road, there you turn into the street to get away. And it was just glorious days of moving freely. Now you're all restricted. This is a police route. You can't go here. You can't go then. You have to follow the route. And there's huge backlogs. And sometimes you wait up to 5 or 6 hours outside the judging point to get in. And it's just not what it was in the early days. So Stephen Leong was coming down on one Carnival Tuesday morning. I was 9 years old. My little sister would have been 7. And we're inside the house, and the band is coming down. They're playing a band by the name of China the Forbidden City, designed by Carlisle Chang, who is one of my great mentors, also deceased now. So she says, come kids, let's go take a little jump. So we go out into the street, and she's holding our hands, my mom, and these characters are all coming down. And in those days, it was still very much which I did and which Minchell did every year as well, was theatre of the streets. And in those older days, all the bands were theatre of the streets. So there were presentations of Rome or history, whatever, China, the Forbidden City, and all the characters kept on their costume whole day, elaborate costumes. I mean, every individual, every person in the band basically had capes and big standards and whatnot. But you didn't only perform and act out your role on stage. You jumped to those days, calypso, now it's soca, much faster beat. But you chipped down the road to soca, and everybody played their role. So you had these guys with big Buddha bellies, false bellies, and they were rubbing their bellies coming on the streets, and all these Oriental women with the chopsticks in their hair and the hairdos, and they have the little Oriental fans fanning. And you just felt the whole character and mood of the presentation. And what was phenomenal for me, and I still hear it at my age now, as I heard when I was a young boy, which was so infectious. The calypso is playing on the trucks, but you heard a constant ch, 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 which were all the feet chipping on the street. And that was a complete rhythm that went along with this, with the calypso music, which was a divine song to hear. And that's what I grew up remembering, the theatre of the streets and acting out your role and acting out your part. And that's still a very remembered and very much photographed and still seen presentation by Stephen Leon.
Okay, so there you go, folks. Here, again, we're not going to get too much. We're not going to let him talk too much about what he's going to say on Friday. But Mr. McFarlane...
But I'm going to talk about assets I see here that I think certainly can be developed.
Well, let them hear it.
In a very positive form. I'm
going
to talk tomorrow. So you got to come to here.
Fantastic. Definitely. So again, folks, here we have in the studio with us, we have our keynote speaker, Mr. McFarlane, and definitely a must hear, a must meet. And as I said, there have been some folks who have already met Mr. McFarlane on his journeys around the island, and they want to keep him here, which, as he said, he don't have a problem with that. But also, we want to thank Johnson as well for finding Mr. McFarlane for us, and I look forward to this coming Friday to hear all the wonderful information that you will have for us. And I want to go back. We are not done yet, folks, so don't turn off the radio. We're not done. But I just needed to say that real quick about Mr. McFarlane and all the positive things that we have been hearing so far, and looking at all your track records, how did it feel? Because, I mean, as I said, you touch base on a few of these celebrities, which brings you into that category as well.
Not too sure about that.
I don't think he'd like to be president of the United States.
But let's just go back to Queen Elizabeth. When Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty, called you...
But she didn't call me. The directive came, and I was picked up with a limousine at the ship where I was staying. They came the morning and said that, you have been summoned to have an audience.
Summoned
to have an audience with Her Majesty this evening at the British High Commissioner's home.
That's even more powerful than a call.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They said we would be here at 6 o'clock. There'll be a limousine outside waiting for you. So I was out there, and I was driven to the house, and of course I took my phone because I'm hoping I'm going to get somebody to take a picture or not, but that was not allowed, unfortunately. So I have no record of actually going. You weren't allowed to take any photographs. But when they had invited, I think maybe like 6 other persons, one to do with the environment and flora and fauna and so forth. But they had us each at a separate little cocktail table. And she started at the top of the 6 tables, and when she reached mine, they said, well, that actually told me that they were saving me for last because she wanted to get an insight into how I had put this whole presentation together. So you would imagine, first of all, I was extremely tired because it was nights of no sleep to do this performance, very draining. Of course, my adrenaline is flowing because I am meeting her, and of course, they tell you, of course, don't reach out to shake her hand or anything unless she does it first. So you're getting all of these instructions before you actually meet her of the do's and don'ts, and you're trying to remember that as well. So your mind is kind of a little bit boggled, But I remember coming to her, and she had an assistant who's making notes as we speak, and they introduced me and so forth, and she said, she was literally. And these may not be her exact words, but she was literally taken back and blown away because she had never witnessed this in a summit in any country in her life before.
Wow.
There may be a little cultural dance, a little cultural song, and then they'll go straight into business. But she saw an Olympic-style ceremony in a hotel ballroom. Wow. And that she couldn't understand. And she said, how were they able to change so quickly? And come back because the costumes were very, very elaborate. Yeah.
Yes,
and the story told a story of Trinidad and Tobago from the inception, and this is what the Prime Minister asked for, from where we came from, who we are, where we are now, and where we will be in the future. So it started with the first peoples of the Amerindians and the Caribs and so forth, and Arawaks, and then it went through the whole conflict with this huge ship that we brought in, the flags coming through of the Dutch and the Spanish and French that we changed hands over the years. And then it went to the Europeans arriving It went to the slave trade. It went to the freedom of the slaves.
Talking
It
about Stacia?
It sounds very much station.
Well, a lot of the islands are very similar because a lot of us
Yes.
have the same origins,
Indeed.
you know. And then we went to all what we have now, the oil and the industry of gas and oil and carnival and the spectacle of carnival, and then our rhythms. So it's the East Indians and the Africans and the Spanish and the Chinese and the Syrian and Lebanese, and then the fusion of all of these things coming together. And so it was a very powerful, moving presentation. And you know what happens to me a lot is that I start talking and I drift so much and I forget what the question was. So can we go back to what the question was?
No, you're still on track. You're still on
Okay.
track.
Okay.
Because now
you
I'm
feel?
going to ask you real quick, based on and exactly what Her Majesty said. How did they get to change?
So that's
from
so that's what I was saying. So
yeah.
there was no change. That's why I had
We're saying.
950
Moving.
people.
Moving.
So you had that one costume in your section in the car park, and you kept moving up like a carnival band would move, and you move.
So they're already ready
Yeah,
to pick,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
to plan something like this.
And to work with
It
so
takes
many people.
it takes what?
Well,
a year, 2 years,
no,
5 years
not
planning?
at all, my friend. I had approximately 4 months for the Summit of the Americas, but then it was like 4 months after that came.
But you said
showed up.
900 people, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one was 750,
50, and
and
this
then
was
950.
960.
For
Well,
4
that's
months
just,
to plan an event with 900 people.
Yeah, and the one before was like a 4 months to plan with the 750 people.
Um,
Now, a lot of the performers were the same that we would have used back, but different costuming.
I want to go to what Johnson said, genius, because many times you see festivals, and this is what I'm going to get to in a few seconds. Festivals are being organized and for an entire year, and we still can't get it together. So, what is the secret?
I see a lot of things in my own country, Trinidad and Tobago, that are done year after year, and they still don't get it together either. I mean, I see a lot of things just in our carnival that we still, after all of these years, haven't got it right. What I can say about when I'm involved in something is, I think, first of all, there's a clear direction of what is to be attained out of what I'm going to do, what is to be achieved.
Okay.
And then I think the next step is that once I start to speak about what I'm doing, and the people that forgive me some of the words I might use, but the people I would start to vacuum in or suck in are people who understand the vision I have and also want to see that vision to its
Mature.
fulfillment.
Yes. Okay.
So I constantly have, I'm really blessed, and I thank God for that, but I constantly have great teams around me. And of course, some people do get married or move on to other countries or leave or whatever the case may be. Many of the people that have worked with me have now started their own event careers, which are great too, because it means I'm
You have
giving these
created
people,
a-
exactly. And
As
when
I
I'm
said, your own
gone,
university.
I'm not going to be here all the time. And when I'm gone, there are other people that have
Indeed.
learned
Can
and
carry
can
on.
take some of this and carry it on.
Sustainability.
Sustainability, exactly.
Indeed.
And that's very important. So I think that's what it is in first having the vision, and I'll also like to say is that I have no other alternative reasons that I'm doing an event or creating a festival other than making sure the client I'm working for that has asked me to create it are getting the best I can give them. I'm in no way looking to shortchange them, because that's just my inner being. I've got to give the best that I can. If not, my soul is totally unhappy, and I can't live without an unhappy soul. So I've got to give the very best. I don't feel comfortable. I can't lie in my bed at night and think, today passed and I just didn't give 150%. I have to give that 150%. And everybody who that I suck in, according that
Yes.
sponges into me,
Yeah.
comes in and wants to be part of it, understand that. And they feel the same way. So it's a very strong vibration that's created. You know, I was recently doing an event, not one last week, but I was recently doing a charitable event for Trinidad, and I do a lot of charity work. I mean, I've given back literally millions in charity over the years through collecting funds and also just virtually giving.
Fantastic.
And I work for the Cancer Society for kids with HIV, many different things.
Fantastic.
But we were setting up the decor, and there was the client who brought me in had subcontracted someone to do the actual centerpieces, because at the time I couldn't do everything. I had other commitments. And I knew the person, and I said, sure, let them come in and help and so forth. But I said, I need to create it, I need to design it, I need to do the first one so they understand. So I did it, and it was just literally using bamboo, because there's no funds. So it was in the dry season, and it was a bit of a fashion show, and it's a very high-end event, beautiful lighting, and I did very hot, warm colors of the oranges and reds and yellows and the sunshine and the heat and the energy of the tropics in dry season. So the stage had, because the ballroom is some 35 feet tall, the stage had huge stalks of bamboo with all the branches coming over it, all 30 feet tall, cascading over sections of the stage, uplit with all the theatrical lighting, and the fashion show went between this, and you got glimpses of it from the audience. But each table, I created these tall glass vases where we had huge stalks of bamboo as well, and then we puddled from the ceiling theatrical lighting over each circular table, but again the warm lighting.
Wow.
And when this guy started to do, and he's a friend of mine, started to cut the bamboo, he's cutting the bamboo like 3 feet tall and dropping it in the vase, and I'm saying, no, it has to be 12 feet over people's heads on each table. You have to feel that we're in bamboo patches in dry season. And he said, Brian, I don't have time to do that. What you doing? All this? This is a charity. And I said, wait. Hold it one time. It doesn't mean because it's a charity, we give them less.
Wow.
It's our creativity. We have undertaken the job.
incredible.
We give them 150%. Not because we're not being paid for this one, we give less.
Otherwise, don't take
We
it.
don't.
Yeah.
And you have your reputation
that.
to study
Yeah,
as
I
well.
like that.
It's a reputation for it.
Yes.
And I
like
guess
that.
that's why I've also been very successful. I've never once done a personal ad advertising my company.
Yeah.
But it's always been word of mouth, and people see, and then, I mean, I've got international work. I worked for 2 years straight at the Lincoln Center in New York, doing Pan Jazz, which had artists from all over the Caribbean.
That was a Broadway show?
It was done at Lincoln Jazz Center, and the mayor of New York was there one year, standing ovation each time. We did it on the folklore based of Trinidad and Tobago. Sets, costuming, and incredible show. And some very big names we worked with too. Hugh Masekela. I worked with him and met him. He's recently died, I think, last year. But what an honor to meet Hugh Masekela. So he was part of the production one year. Yeah, and I've done things with the London Olympics, with the cultural opening, not the actual night, but
Great. This is, I mean, as you said, how many hours we have
yes,
was the
could go on
question
and on,
from the
yes.
start. So, and I'm glad to hear about your charitable donations that you are busy with. You mentioned the Cancer
Society.
because that's one of the things that we are very passionate about here on the island as well. There is an association here,
Right.
again, and also the AIDS community. There's
Yes.
also an association here that deals with that. So hopefully these folks will also reach out to you,
Yes.
come and meet you on Friday.
Yeah, great,
And have a
great.
good chat with you or talk with you because
Certainly.
you know again this is it. This is I think Johnson mentioned it. You know we brought the mountain to you folks. You know, for you to go to the mountain, it would have been a task, but we brought the mountain to you. So please come and meet the mountain because after this, who knows what's going to happen. He may not come by this side, but with your support, we might be able to bring him back again next
will
year.
come back.
And many
I'll be
times
back.
after that. Yeah,
Yes,
but we need that teamwork. We need that working
Yes.
together.
You know,
Yeah.
every year you bring a new aspect, and I'm really excited about this one because we are a culture country. I remember that once in the tourism organization, our slogan was
The Caribbean's hidden treasure.
and the historic,
The historical gem
yes,
of the Eastern Caribbean.
And it
Indeed.
tells us that we have an accent on history, and I believe we do.
We do.
And we speak about it, but the passion with which you speak about your history and how you can incorporate it in scenes, I call them, vignettes and
Yes.
and theater way,
Yes.
and how you can present it. It maybe can inspire some of our
Yes.
people not just to look at our culture, but to begin to take it to another level.
Yeah.
And that I really believe that it's time that we get more people
Involved.
to get this
Yes.
this speech. I don't know how much your fee is to get in,
Yeah.
but I think to listen to you and even to communicate with you and exchange with you, it will be worth the fee to come in.
Thank you so much, Roy. Definitely, I believe that. Johnson?
Brilliant. I mean, I know when we first approached Brian, one of his concerns about coming here was it was interrupting, if you may, his preparation for his December
Christmas production.
Christmas.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And believe me, the WhatsApp, the pings have been going since I've been here.
Listen, guy, this thing is the end of September. I know he's working on it, but this is Christmas time.
But let me tell you, we've started, I think this is the 5th month of rehearsals.
Yes.
So when we get on stage for 2 weeks in December, we have all these months of rehearsals behind us.
Yeah.
We are so
Wow.
tight. Everything is to
Yeah.
such perfection.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about with that we've got people in the Caribbean who are
Yeah.
excellent,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
are as good as
Yeah.
us and often better than what I see on Broadway. I
Yeah.
like the theater. Whenever I'm in New York, whenever I'm in London, I go to the theater. I go
Yes,
to watch
yes,
the
yes.
musicals. I'm
Well,
a fan of
Johnstone, you
musicals.
need to come. You guys
But-
here
Yeah.
need to come and see Christmas Joy with a sprinkle of magic in
You-
Trinidad this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because you will be blown away. We get people every year. This is the 4th year that I'm doing this particular
Wow,
production.
wow.
This is my own production. And we get people every year when they're leaving, because I stay at the door to greet people as they're leaving and thank them for coming. And every year people are leaving with their eyes completely filled with water and
Wow.
emotion. And not women only. I'm talking about big grown
Yeah.
men. As we say in Trinidad and the Caribbean, hardback.
Hardback man.
And they hold my hand with so much emotion and say, I was so moved.
Wow.
And my show is a pricey show because it's a very expensive show to put on because of all what I
Okay.
do. And so my tickets are like $600 TT, which is high.
Okay.
But
US.
people leave saying,
How much US?
About 100 US or
100
thereabouts.
US.
so people
Yeah.
leave saying, we feel we cheated you. We owe you money, you know.
Wow.
But and I focus a lot too on the kids. There are a lot of kids in my production because this is the future of all of our islands, the children of our islands, right? So I'm looking forward as well, as I talk about children, I'm looking forward as well to meeting the kids because I understand we're going to be judging a competition with the school,
Yes.
the secondary school,
Yes.
tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
But I'm very passionate about kids. And there's one young guy who started in my show a couple of years ago at the age of 13. And you all are going to be all hearing about him in another 5 or 6 years. He is going to be international. Christian Mendez. What a voice. What theater production. What projection.
Wow.
So he's going to be going places. But it would be good for you to witness it. And only about after the first year, the second year, I met a few people leaving and they were saying, oh, we're from Barbados, so we're from St. Lucia. And I said, oh, we flew in for the show. Been following us on the net, they flew in for the show. And then by the third year, last year, people are from Miami, from London, a couple from Las Vegas. And I'm saying, you came for, yes, we came especially to see the show. And my director, who's Dutch, Dr. Helmer Hilwig, he used to manage one of our hospitals, but he's also theater director, he does drama. He never believed me when I would go backstage and tell him. So I started bringing him out every night.
Yeah.
I said, you stand at my side. And my orchestra conductor, because I have a full symphonic orchestra, it's a live orchestra, 22 members, and a 50-member full choir. And you have to audition and go through strenuous auditions to get in the choir. You can't just
I'm
you
going to
can't,
be auditioning.
you can't just say we had a couple of singers from the Caribbean. I remember one guy, especially from Dominica, who was in the choir last year. He was studying at university and a fabulous voice. So we have other Caribbean islands in the choir. But you have to audition and you have to go through a whole screening to get into the choir. So, this is serious business.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
taken
Yeah.
to an international
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
But last year, I invited the new general manager of our Hilton, who is a French guy. He's here with his wife and his 9-year-old son. And last year was his first Christmas. So I invited him to the gala night, and the gala goes to a charity. And then I invited as well the manager and so on, the Hyatt and so forth. So I went to a meeting a few weeks after, and the general manager saw me going into the hotel of the Hilton, and he says, wait, Mr. McFarlane, I need to speak with you. So I stood back to chat with him for a little while, and he says, listen, I've been meaning to call you. He says, I'm so sorry, I never came to your show. He says, forgive me, I am new here. I got these tickets. I know of your work, I've been hearing your name. But my son that day says a new movie was opening in the movie complex. He wants to go see the movie, so I gave him the opportunity. But he said, I go to the front desk every morning and I meet all of my guests leaving the hotel to find out how was your stay. Did you enjoy your stay at the Hilton? And he said, I couldn't understand that Monday morning, all of these guests are checking out, and everyone I go to talk to, they said, oh, well, we came in for the weekend to see Brian McFarlane's Christmas Joy. And this is from all different parts of the world.
Wow.
And he says, what? And then he says, what the hell did I miss? You know, then realize this is something big.
Indeed.
He says, I want to talk to you because I want to make my hotel the host hotel for the show because they're right next door to the performance center.
Fantastic.
So now he's given us special rates he's doing a special dinner for all the guests coming in. They're cleaning up and making a special walkway because you can walk down from the Hilton, cross the road into the Queen's Hall. So now we have a host hotel as
There
well.
you go.
And there are a couple of things, a couple of lessons here from what he just said towards the end. One, in as far as station is concerned, which is exactly what the vision was when we thought, let us do a theme that focused on culture and festivals and economic benefits and all of that. One, you can produce something
Yes.
that is
Sustain.
of international
Yes.
standard
Yes.
and that will attract people.
Yes.
The tourist board's remit is to attract people.
Yes.
And everything it does, in the end, it's about attracting
Yes.
people to come into
Yes.
the country.
Yeah.
And one, you can do something around festivals, around culture, around what is you, what
Yes.
is truly you,
Yes.
that will be attractive and bring people in. You might not get as many people on year one,
Yes.
or year
But
two,
it has to
Exactly.
or
be.
year three.
There have to
but
be a
listen, but
consistency.
listen to
Yes.
what Brian just said.
Yes.
As the years go by, this
Yes.
is
Yes,
the
it
fourth
Now
can
he
year.
has a
build.
whole hotel that
And now-
caters to them.
And
Wow.
two, the
Yeah.
second lesson that we learned from this is you can partner. The hotel sector. I was saying that to Wendell yesterday that I found, and you've heard my complaint 1,000,001 times, Charles,
Yes.
is that we need to get the
Partnerships.
hoteliers on board with this thing. And so you can get a hotel partner that will say to you, you know what, you're hosting this thing and we want to partner with you so we can give special rates for when people come
Yes.
in. You can get an airline partner. We understand that Win Air is the one, so can we partner with Win Air to say, you know, when we're doing this thing, this is the one event that we're going to do it. We're partnering with you. You can get a tour operator, travel agent partner. Deira is here who is doing those things, who can put the packages together. And so those are the lessons that
Yes.
we've just learned as far as station is concerned from everything Brian just said.
Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic. See why we had to have you here. All right, folks. Again, here you're here. Actually, I'm hoping that the lady of culture, Marcella Gibbs, is listening because she has a red and white parade that she does every December.
Right.
And it would be great if you can, if she will, come to the conference and meet with you, so that you all can share this and you can probably give us some insight on how to grow this more. Because again, she had been doing it for the past 3 or 4 years,
No,
I
more than
think.
that, I think.
Yeah,
Since I was in government.
it's something that I see and I feel can grow.
Potential,
Yes, it can grow. But those kind of insight that you have just shared, and as Johnson has just put the dot on the eyes, this is what we need, and hopefully again she will be there to meet with you, and of course.
Well,
there's,
I for me, I think more than I look at this as the artistic expression part of our culture, because there's so much more, and I'm going to be talking about that. Of
Yes.
course, I hope I get some of that vision from you and be able to infuse it in what I'm going to say. I was already
But I enjoy. I said it actually at dinner last night. I enjoy your energy because I work a lot on that. I feel people's vibes and
Yes,
energy,
yes.
and I
Thank
like
you.
your energy.
And
Roy,
so
Roy, just touch him.
there are not only those people from the tourist industry, but other industry, because our culture goes beyond tourism. Tourism might be a vehicle
Yes.
to
Yes.
present
Yes, exactly. That's
our,
what it is.
our
That's what
culture.
it is.
And
But
sometimes
there
you
are
have to
other things
think,
that
and you also have to think outside the box.
Yes, that's what it is.
Don't
yes,
think
yes.
traditional ways
Yes.
all the
Yes,
time.
yes,
Be
yes.
different
Yes.
and be bold to step out
Yes.
and be
Indeed.
different.
And we
Indeed.
have much more than we know.
Exactly.
And we need to see it in a new light.
Fantastic.
And so really,
Before I leave, one
yes.
quick I want to say, as you just touched on something that inspired me. Yesterday I was taken for a drive by this very lovely lady, Teresa. And I'm not sure because I'm still new here, but we went out, not to Quill, but we went out to the mountain on the other side.
Yes, the hills.
And went out to the beach.
Yes.
And
Zalande.
I,
Okay.
what do you call it?
Zealandia?
Zealandia.
Zealandia area.
And what blew me away and what I got so much inspiration from is as I got closer to that cliff and that mountain were the goats.
Ah.
I mean, people living here may take these things for granted.
Yes, yes.
But the goats I'm overwhelmed with the amount of them everywhere. But as I drove past the hill, first of all, I'm seeing these mammoth rocks that appear to be hand-placed and look like they're just balancing on each other. I worry if you get an earthquake because I feel that they're all rolled down. And I started thinking, well, maybe with the eruption how many years ago, maybe they were spewed into that direction and they kind of landed on each other because they looked like they were hand-placed and looked like they could just topple over. So that was very intriguing, the whole geological structure of that mountain. But then what intrigued me even more was the goats on just the tips of these rocks way up. Yeah. And that was fascinating to me and very, very inspiring to see this. So things that you all may just drive around every day and not even recognize. Someone like me or a foreigner or a stranger comes in and says, wow, this is intriguing. I love this. So I was immediately shooting pictures because I want to go back and show friends and family these things,
Yes. Indeed. All right, folks. Again, here you have it. We can sit here and talk for another hour, and I guarantee you wouldn't be bored because of all this excitement that is spewing out of here. But again, tonight is Taste of the Cultures. Come on out and enjoy yourself. We're going to have a wonderful night for you. Lots of happening, lots of entertainment. It starts from 6, ends at 9, and then the following day is the conference where you will hear persons, for example, like Roy Hooker, Mr. Hooker, who's here with us. He would also be part of the speaker panel, and our keynote speaker, Mr. McFarlane. Again, we look forward to. Sorry, Johnson is family. Johnson is family. So we don't really.
I'll touch you, Johnson. I'll touch you.
I think it's called familiarity.
I'm taking something like a Trinidad. The family.
But I feel very much like family already.
There you go. Okay, exactly. But again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you this evening and, of course, tomorrow at the conference. And for all of you who haven't signed up as yet, please contact us at the tourist office. Or you can just call 318-2433. And if you wish to see the video, you can always go to our website, www.station-tourism.com, and go on our Facebook page, and you'll see the video that I was referring to. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Until another time, Godspeed.
Amen.
Program FYI, keeping you informed on topics in and around tourism development. Stay tuned and be informed. FYI, brought to you by the St. Eustatius Tourism Development Foundation.
November month is the month of tourism for CTO and the rest of the Caribbean. St. Eustatius Tourism Development Foundation is taking part in this very, very important endeavor. I am tourism.